Geordie Journos back here outside St James's Park, Gallagher stand on the corner. Joined here as ever by Liam Kennedy. How are you doing, Lee? It's been a busy week, hasn't it?
It was a mad weekend.
Yes.
I think it's fair to say. You might hear some bashing and banging and drilling and all sorts. There's just it's a hub of activity here at the Gallagher end of St James's Park. You've got a club shop going up down here below us in the bowels of the stand, and then you've got the Stat, which is looking quite an impressive little structure there now, isn't it? Which have we got a date for that yet? No.
Don't ask me.
No date yet. I just might have missed it.
I've been given vague times, but
we'll just stick with the official one. Right.
We'll wait and see. Should be open by the new season. Let's sell a cup. Let's hope. Fingers crossed.
Right, so no, it is. There's lots to dive into. You guys have been asking us questions left, right, and centre. There's only a certain amount of questions we can actually truthfully answer. Some of them are way beyond our capabilities, including a lot of people who are sort of suggesting, like, what next? What next? Financials. I'm not a financial expert. I am actually going to reach out to a few financial experts this week to see if we can get somebody involved on. I can't promise anything, but I'm going to try my best.
Aye.
We can't answer those questions, really, can we?
No.
We can only vaguely look at it and think and say what we think, but is that really adding anything to you guys? I'm not sure it is. You probably expect a little bit more.
Exactly. You don't want to be speculating. Geordie speculators as well.
No, we're not the Geordie speculators, are we?
No.
Sometimes.
Geordie wafflers.
Wafflers.
Geordie Journos, we try to be.
Jordan's not here again.
Yeah, it's a working day.
It is. It's a working day. It's a tough one. You guys will ask because you love Jordan, you love his insight. He just can't make it. And he's going on holiday, so it's a tough one. We're going to make sure it's going to be our absolute aim to get him on at least.
We'll get a Jordan Cronin special.
Get a Jordan Cronin special. At least one video. And you never know. He might send us something. I did it. You did it.
Yeah.
I was in Mallorca. You were in Turkey.
Yes.
So maybe he might send a little message or two from his destination. Where's he going again?
Is it Crete or Cyprus? It's somewhere.
Cyprus. It's Paphos.
Yeah.
Paphos.
Somewhere Mediterranean.
If you're holiday in Paphos and you do see Jordan Cronin, just give him a shout. I'm sure he'll appreciate the Geordie Journal love.
Yes. And before, I was just thinking, while you're on financial experts, time to plug our sponsor, Liam.
Four Rivers Financial Planning. Check the bio for all of the details below. You know the drill by now. They are involved heavily in investment advice and pension advice. So if you're at that stage in life, I mean any stage in life, to get financial advice in that manner, go to Four Rivers. They're the guys, and do quote Geordie Journos if you do get in touch with them. But that'll all be below and probably in one of these corners. And I never know which one, as regular viewers will know by now. We did launch on TV as well. Well, we say launch.
Yes.
There were technical difficulties for the first week. It wouldn't be Geordie Journos without something going wrong.
Yeah. Well, we thought we were doing it smart, getting it recorded well in advance.
Yeah.
But yeah, technical difficulties.
And it's just gone on demand rather than actual.
You can watch it. We'll put the link in the description to that as well, and it will be on YouTube at some point this week as well.
Yeah, we'll post the video up once it's had its time to run on Shots TV. You can find out what Freeview channel was it again?
276.
He's got.
It only took about 30 takes.
Try to catch him out. We might show the outtakes at Christmas of Dom trying to remember the. I'll get it all in.
It was more tongue twister.
You couldn't get it out
on TV. Shots TV, Freeview channel. I couldn't even say Freeview.
Right, we've done enough waffling as we always do. 4 minutes worth of waffling.
It's been really.
Going at first, honestly, there's that many. Like, I think. Should we do it like chronological almost? Like,
yeah,
exit in.
We'll carry on from our last video, which was talking about. Well, yes, talking about the transfer situation where we were like, Newcastle have a 40 million there or thereabouts PSR unlockable player, which was Yankuba Minte, who eventually got sold for a little bit less than 40 million, but then out to. I won't say nowhere, because Newcastle, by the sounds of it, were absolutely trying to sell every single player, and Anthony Gordon's another player we could probably get it on as well. That's a big talking point.
We'll have to talk about that, yeah.
That's a massive talking point. And then Elliot Anderson ends up going, and last minute, bit too last minute for my liking, and probably your liking too, Newcastle saved themselves, avoided points deduction by all accounts, as far as we're aware. Police.
You haven't done anything wrong, have you?
I hope not.
We are allowed to film here, I think.
Yeah. So yeah, Newcastle saved themselves all very last minute, and let's be honest, the they've done it without really reducing the quality of the first team.
So yeah, I think wait for this police car to just pass us by, so you can actually probably hear us.
It was a crime that fee they got for Elliot Anderson, wasn't it?
It was a crime. I love that. You're the king of that sort of thing. Love it. No, I think Elliot Anderson. It's hard. Before I talk, let's get Minty out of the way first. In my opinion, it's hard to miss something that you never had, and I don't like the idea of him going away, becoming a good player, whatever. But he was never a Newcastle player, so that's probably the easiest one to level with. I find it harder to level with Anderson. You produce a Geordie player who loves the club, wants to stay, is starting to add value to the first team, and you have to get rid of him. Now, there's lots of little bits to the Anderson thing which I think kind of explain why, in common sense, without the fee, it even makes sense. So you look at it and say, what is Elliot Anderson?
That's the thing.
And he struggled to get in the team. So what is he? He's been formed into a left centre mid, and naturally he's a 10, which they don't play with, so he has played on the left. Is he first choice in either of those positions? Joe Linton and Anthony Gordon are the first choice. Is he second choice and back up in those positions? Harvey Barnes and Joe Willock. So you've got to start asking questions and saying, common sense wise, you're selling your third choice left centre mid, third choice left winger for a significant sum, almost the biggest sum this football club in its history has ever received. Couple that then with the fact that they've got somebody, haven't watched the 21s as it starts to rain, the elements get involved. The under 21s, haven't seen them quite a bit last season. They signed a player in January from Manchester City called Alfie Harrison.
Yeah.
And he is, that's his name, is it?
Yes.
My mind went blank there. It is Alfie Harrison. So yeah, and when I watched him in the 2 games that I seen him towards the end of the season for the 21s, I turned up the 18s a few times and he'd already been bumped up. He played in the left centre mid. He played very much in the Anderson mould, exactly where Anderson and Joe Linton play. So that's the idea. Maybe if you're thinking in 12 to 18 months, we've got another one ready to step into that position, then you sort of say, well, I can see, look, I've got to let this guy go. It's sad because I liked him as a player and I liked for the future what he potentially could become, but he's never so far in a Newcastle shirt been the player we know he can be. Yeah. That's probably the regret, but it also leaves you the fact he might never be. You don't know. He might never be the player that we all believe him that he might become, because football doesn't work like that. It's not a straight line to success in football. It goes up and down as players drop out, move clubs. Sometimes you have to move to be a success. Look at Adam Armstrong. He's made a fantastic career for himself. If he'd have stayed at Newcastle, he wouldn't have done what he has. Ivan Toney, playing for England. If he'd have stayed at Newcastle, he might not be sitting in an England squad now in the last 8 of the European Championships, however bad that's been. Yeah. You know, it isn't a straight line to success in football, and maybe Elliot Anderson needs that, because he wasn't going to get the games that he would have wanted at Newcastle United, but would have stayed in the Longstaff mould, and probably what Miley will do as well, that they'll stay because they love the club and they want to play for Newcastle United, and that's the saddest bit. I'm really sad because I kind of know people who know him, and I know how much he loves the club, and it is a really sad situation. But life moves on, and to get that fee, including the Minty one, so to get sort of 70 million quid or whatever it may be, for 2 footballers who, like you said, aren't really adding a huge amount to the first team pool, it's incredible business. Yeah. Incredible. It's the best business Newcastle United have arguably ever done.
Yeah. It's like clutch transfers, last minute. Yeah. They've had to do them. And they've done it.
So we haven't just started discussing the method yet, because that's a different argument altogether.
Yes. I think there's probably question marks over it. Yeah. But yeah, Elliot Anderson is a player who's probably suffering a bit of an identity crisis at Newcastle. Yeah. Just where was his best position? I remember speaking to him last pre-season. He said, "Look, I like playing on the left wing. I like playing number 10, but obviously that left centre mid was almost there for him to a degree as well." But yeah, he's a player who, look, he's 21 years old now. Can get bogged down on ages, but 21, that's how old Anthony Gordon was when he arrived at the club, and you were expecting him to deliver straight away almost. It took him 6 months, but Elliot Anderson, he's not that young up-and-comer that he was 2 years ago type thing. So I think for a player 21, he's made 50 odd first team appearances for Newcastle without scoring a competitive goal. He's got 2 assists. It's not a big return.
Minutes wise, a lot of those 50 appearances will be a minute here, 2 minutes there, but it isn't a groundbreaking return, is it?
No.
What I would say that's my worry for Anderson, and I hope he does, because I like him and I think he's a fantastic player. I was talking about when you or Jordan on the phone the other day, where I talked about the Jose Perez effect. That when Jose Perez signed for Leicester, they were suddenly expecting a £30 million centre forward who would walk straight into the team, deliver week in, week out. And that's my worry with Elliot Anderson, is if Nottingham Forest are expecting a player to walk in and deliver week in, week out, that's big pressure.
Yeah.
He needs to move from being almost pressure off at Newcastle United to full pressure on, because you've become one of the biggest signings in a grand club's football history, in a fan base where you're expecting you in probably a relegation battle to be pulling them out of it, and it's a big pressure. It's a different kind of pressure, but
big
a big
pressure
one.
For a player who's probably made 10-15 Premier League starts as well.
Yeah, it isn't a lot, yeah. So I do worry from that in that sense, but look, pressure is privilege, as you see a lot of these footballers saying, don't you?
Yeah.
And I think he'll probably thrive on that, and I hope he does really well.
Yeah, you wish him all the best, because good to speak to, good lad, bleeds black and white, and he wouldn't have wanted to leave, but he's done it for the good of the club at the end of the day. So you have to give credit.
You have to respect it, and he's done the right thing. And look, he'd be getting a handsome reward as well. He'd be getting a good wage rise. He'd be getting he'll be starting first day of the season. There's zero doubt about it. And if he's fit, he'll get enough games. And if he can stay fit, that was always his challenge here: get fit, stay fit. If he can do that, then I think he'll do well.
Yes.
The other way around, we've got the goalkeeper, and I'm going to leave this pronunciation to you because you were just practicing it.
Odysseus.
Vlachodimos or Odysseus. We'll call him Odysseus.
Yes.
Sounds a bit more classical, doesn't
Godlike.
it?
Godlike between the sticks.
Look, the goalkeeping situation, like James Trafford was the man. That was the one they wanted. Not so much the Georgian, although I've seen a lot of talk of that.
He was a star.
He was, but you can see, I think he's like a young Nick Pope.
You reckon?
I didn't think there was... he wasn't like coming off his line loads and doing all that kind of thing, apart from when he did in the first game, obviously. There was none of that, where it was like, oh wow, what a footballer he is. You know, like the bits where you want a Nick Pope again with a better feet, don't you? And maybe he's a little bit... Well, he didn't do any of that. He was quite static. Excellent shot stopper,
and
big,
he was getting
strong.
peppered though, isn't it?
He was.
Martin Dubravka effect when Newcastle are in a relegation battle. It's like that player looks incredible. But hey, I rated him.
I thought he looked good. I think, and you know, if you'd signed him, you'd be positive about it. But the one at Trafford, he seems to be the man, and they've just sort of for now, it seems. I mean, you can never rule things out, but it does very much seem like they've moved away from that, signing John Ruddy to a lesser extent, who just comes in as Loris Karius, and then Odysseus, as you say, he's going to be the number 2. I've seen a lot of talk, a lot of people criticising.
What does it mean for Martin Dubravka now as well?
He's gone, isn't he? I think he knows that as well. I think he's wanted...
It's interesting quotes came from after the Slovakia game where he's like, I need to talk to Eddie Howe.
I think the talking's done. I think he knows. You know, even though he says that in public, he's known that his days are numbered at Newcastle United. Those conversations have probably partly gone on behind the scenes anyway. Maybe he's not 100% confirmed, because Howe wouldn't know how the summer would definitely play out. It would probably be a conversation to wait and see. But I think now Howe, with his actions, has proven that he's going to use Vlachodimos. Vlachodimos. We'll use him as the number 2. And look,
Jordan will be glad he's missed this.
Yes, he would struggle with it. This would have been quite fun to get him on just to do that. We should get him to send a video in.
Just saying.
No, so he's obviously going to be the number 2. Comes in with a lot of pedigree. I think if he's a footballer he'd signed 2 years ago, who played 150 games for Benfica, was Greece's number 1, and I remember him being really touted around a lot of football clubs a few years ago.
Newcastle watched him for a long time. Newcastle were linked.
So if they'd signed him 2 years ago and paid the sum that we do wonder that they might have paid, which we'll come on to, then you wouldn't have complained. It would have been like, oh, he's your number 1. Like, it wouldn't have been any complaint. So I've got no fears about him coming in as a number 2. I seen bits of him for Forest last season. Didn't look like you could save much, but you know, situations are different. A lad who's played top level, 150 games, 30 games for Greece, isn't going to be a mug. He's arguably more experienced and it's almost like a trading Dubravka for Dubravka in some ways when you look at their respective careers, apart from the fact Vlachodimos has played at a higher level than Dubravka ever did before he came to Newcastle.
Yeah, I guess.
Portuguese top division.
Yeah, I mean, Premier League experience is probably worth more than that.
No, I was saying before he came.
Yeah.
Before he came, he hadn't played anywhere. He'd been in Sweden maybe, and a couple others.
Yeah, it's true. I wouldn't say it's an upgrade though.
No, I wouldn't. No, that's not what I'm getting at. I don't think it is. I think it's almost trading for trade's sake. It's
probably what got that Anderson deal over the line.
It is, and that's what they had to do. And look, they paid around anywhere between 4 and 8 million for him last summer. Suggestions from some very respectable journalists down in the East Midlands that Forest have made a substantial increase on that. I think it's difficult to say a 2 million or a 3 million isn't substantial.
Percentage-wise
it is, but you wouldn't say that. If it was 10 million to 12, you wouldn't say, oh, that's substantial, even though it's 20%
4 million
uplift.
to 8, you've doubled your money.
4 million to 8, you'd say you'd double your money. With small sums, I think saying substantial means it probably is.
Yeah.
But that's the price they had to pay, and that's the price they had to pay for leaving it so late.
It is, yeah.
Which we haven't even discussed yet.
Well, we discussed it on our last video where we were panicking, and we're all fairly confident Newcastle would get it done and sell the players required. Yankuba Minte was the big one, but Elliot Anderson came a little bit left field. And I think that they did leave it too late. I wouldn't say too late. They did leave it very late, probably too late for our liking in terms of being comfortable with it. And certainly last minute on a Sunday, I'm getting text messages through first thing Monday morning, getting on my laptop trying to do work and things like that. It's not.
You were asleep when the confirmations came through?
I woke up. It was midnight, wasn't it? Midnight.
It was half midnight. Yeah. Look, I'm not happy. No. I'll say that honestly. This doesn't like override everything that's gone before. It doesn't mean I'm Mr. Negative. I'm just purely judging this situation. I think it's in many ways looks like mismanagement. To leave something to a panic is not good planning and not good strategy. And they were panicking. I said it in my tweet on Saturday. I spoke to a couple of people on Saturday, even though I was on a day off and there was kids' parties and all sorts. Spoke to a couple of people on Saturday, and panic was there. Panic was real and panic was true. Don't believe what people say. No, but they know what they're doing. Look, they came out of it well, but haven't had to panic to do it. It's like playing somebody.
Do you know what it was like? It was like England on Sunday.
It was. And look, you could then say, well, it doesn't matter because it worked. Gareth Southgate sat happy and he didn't make any changes and it worked. He's vindicated. No, this isn't a vindication for that strategy. No. You should not be leaving it at the last minute. That shows a chronic mismanagement of budgets. And I don't know who it lies on. It probably lies a bit on everybody. This doesn't lie on Eddie Howe, by the way. That's probably the one person this doesn't lie on. Yes, he can turn around and say, well, I don't want him to leave. I want to sign him. What football manager in the history of football wouldn't take more players and more money when offered? Yeah. Seriously? Eddie Howe would have probably spent another 200 million if it was given to him. Yeah. It's the people above that run it and have to say, I'm sorry, that's no. You can't do that. So all they've done in the last week is make up for sales they probably should have made last summer.
Yeah.
So all they've done, they've not put much money in the bank for this year, although there is the slight crossover with a profit going into. I'm not complex. I don't know these things, but these are sales that they're just playing catch up on what they should have done in the previous two windows, and 60 to 70 million's worth of catch up is ridiculous.
The fact that shortfall got left
40,
to literally
24?
As 24, late as that, the final day is madness, really.
It's no wonder that the vultures were circling all week. Chelsea, what about Isak? What about Isak? They were waiting. Manchester United, don't believe this painted out thing. They were vultures as well. They knew Newcastle United were desperate with Dan Ashworth, and they knew and waited right at the end. Newcastle had to do a deal with them.
Got decent money by all accounts, though.
And we don't know. It
wasn't the 20 million they wanted, but
and I'd be surprised if it's as big as some people are saying, but it might be.
It's more than 2.7 million.
Yes. Yes. It'll be interesting to see how much it was in the end, but I'd be surprised if it's as big as, if it is the 12 or 30 million that people are suggesting. Well played, Newcastle United. That is an incredible deal. You know what, in terms of directors, sort of football executives, if it's 6 million, it's an unbelievable deal. But it kind of shows they were almost playing hardball from a position of weakness, and Manchester United knew it. They weren't daft. So I'd be surprised if it's jumped closer to 20 than 2.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. I don't know. I'm yet to find. I've asked. I don't think we'll find details on that very soon. I think that might be something that it might leak out at some point, but it's not in the best interest of either club really for that kind of thing to be leaking out yet.
That's what they said in the statement, didn't
yes.
they? And you try and get it confirmed. The club on budget there.
So on the PSR thing, I was speaking to the club only last night, and I asked the question because I seen in in the newspaper, Mark Douglas did a really good piece on this situation and how it was all explained, and the panic and the worry and the money and whatever. And one thing in there that he said was Darren Eales would be looking to address this soon. So I've gone to the club and asked them if this is the case. They've said timing is crucial. That was their answer to me. Timing is crucial. Read into that whatever you will. There was a suggestion he may look to address it, as he did with all of us guys in January. Right. So that seems to be something that, a little bit of a Geordie Journos, a little bit of information for you there, that the club aren't, it isn't as definite as what was said, but they may well look to address it. And I think they need to. I think they need to be open and honest and explain, look, if they've got it wrong, they've got it wrong. Everybody gets things wrong from time to time, but it needs to be lessons learned. You can't be leaving yourself this late. You can't be leaving everything at the last minute, because the answer to that was sell a crown jewel to one of the vultures, Liverpool, Chelsea, Manchester. You've got to sell the things, give things away that you don't want to give away to vultures, and they shouldn't have ever put themselves in that position. Look, they've only done it from a position. I remember saying something like this on the last video. Sorry, I'm away here, but I think I said something like this on the last video, and some of the comments that came back were, well, what do you want? Do you want me to go back to being Ashley? No, I don't want that. I get that the football club have made these decisions with the idea on this football club bettering itself, but it can't better itself from a position of minus 10 points or minus 6 points. It's going to be really difficult to better yourself from those positions. You're putting yourself at disadvantage. So I'm all for progress. I'm all for pushing the boundaries to the limit is what you can, but you've got to do it with a slight air of sustainability. It can't be unsustainable, and panic is unsustainable.
I think one thing that we talked about, whether it was true or not, or whether it's the club's intention or not, was that Bruno release clause, whether that was maybe a fail-safe, where they were like, right, that will sort us out in terms of PSR.
It's interesting, what was the plan A? That's the thing,
exactly,
isn't it? We don't know what the plan A, B. This clearly wasn't A, B or C, was it? To do what they've done.
Yeah, because Minter even was a gamble. It would have been a late thought-out thing towards the back end of the last season, where he's doing a good job at Feyenoord, clubs are circling, we can double, triple our money here. So, that doesn't feel awfully thought through, but they've ultimately executed what we want. But I think the fallout from it, particularly on what was mentioned before, Anthony Gordon is now a slightly precarious situation where, in having a conversation with Liverpool, he's Anthony Gordon, Liverpool daft, big club, Champions League football, challenging for trophies. It's a no-brainer for him, really, and it just feels like Newcastle, by getting into this situation, have left one of their key players almost turning his head slightly.
Well, they've unsettled the whole thing. I mean, how much does this impact players? Like
Isak is you were trying to get. Well, I wouldn't say trying. Put a very hefty price tag on it.
So what I would say about the Gordon one is, I don't know, is my answer. Whether Newcastle offered him or whether they didn't. I've spoken to certain people who know about it, and I've heard both sides. And I don't. So my judgment on it is I don't know. And I think it'll be hard to ever really know. There's a lot of face saving gone on in the last few days, played out in the public domain, as to be expected. But I want all I want, whether about Gordon, whether about Bruno, whether about anything. The Geordie Journos, I think you agree with this. We just want the chance to ask these questions to the football club, and we want some clarity, and just for you guys out there, for ourselves as journalists, as fans, but also for yourselves as well. We want to ask that, and I've asked that question. We'll see what comes back.
Yes.
But Anthony Gordon, go back to that. Look, I can understand why you would want to go, but I've got no doubt that he'll knuckle down. He'll knuckle down. He'll come back here as if nothing happened. And he's loved here, and he knows that. He'd be daft to hang his coat up already when he doesn't even know if that deal will happen.
Yes.
And Newcastle probably don't need to accept that money, and that's the thing that, like I say, people are asked next. What next with regards to money? We'll try and get some answers on that as well. Yeah.
The concern with Anthony Gordon is, look, you don't want to question his loyalty to Newcastle United. He's done brilliantly, but he was well regarded at Everton, and he did force the move to Newcastle there. And it's more just, you don't want history to repeat itself when a club like Liverpool come knocking.
Let's hope not.
Yeah.
What else we got? Ashworth?
Well, we've touched on Ashworth.
Done him.
Now it's sporting director, isn't it? Well, Ashworth, deal finally done. Yeah.
I mean, it was here. We're only a few yards this way to your, whichever way that is on the video.
Absolute incompetence.
Absolute incompetence video. Look back on that one. It was an incredible story, if true, of absolute incompetence. I'm very clear on the Dan Ashworth stuff. Look, I think there's an argument to say that a lot of the mess that's gone on might have his fingertips on it. There's a lot of argument as well to say, had he been in position, maybe some of this might not have happened, because is everybody communicating right? And that's ultimately what his remit was, to get all the right people in the right places, doing the right things. Is he take the connective tissue out? Has this been allowed to fester and push to the last days? Yeah. Who knows?
And how much did he know about the club's PSR situation heading into
I think he knew it all. I think he knew it all. That's why he's been sitting pretty and happy. This was it was never going to go that way. Two football clubs were always going to get their heads together and do a deal. They were never going to go to war and fight it out for 18 months. It was always going to happen. So I reckon it's probably not as good as what people are saying for Newcastle United, but it's better than probably most teams have ever paid for some football executive.
Yeah. Including Newcastle for Dan Ashworth.
2.5 million, wasn't it? 3 million? 2 million?
It's about that. There or thereabouts.
They've doubled their money on him then, fair enough, because like I say, is there much tangible success? Was he here long enough to ever give them anything? And they've doubled their money on it.
Eddie Howe certainly wasn't keen to give too much credit to him.
But he wants all control, doesn't he? Eddie Howe would be happy. I don't know this for a fact, but I just get the sense that Eddie Howe wouldn't be disappointed if a director of football never came in. I think he's quite happy doing what he's doing. He wants all control, as managers do, but managers aren't a modern thing. You almost have a head coach and people who do the transfer strategy linked with the manager. He wants full control of the whole thing. And in my opinion, in a football club now, with the sums of money that goes on, the risk that's involved, I think giving a manager full control of transfers is fraught with danger.
Yeah, it is.
So I think that's it. If he had it his way, I think that would be really dangerous. But we'll see how the summer plays out.
Yeah, and the summer has played out so far. 4 signings already. Lloyd Kelly confirmed.
Yeah.
Lewis Hall confirmed. Obviously Odysseus, a keeper, and John Ruddy as well. The keeper department, sort of, we've touched on that. John Ruddy, he's that experienced head, isn't he? He's played in the Premier League before. He's like the Scott Carson signing.
Yeah, honestly, it's the signing I'm most excited about.
Is it? Why?
I'm really not. I'm just joking. Yeah, it's an experienced head. He'll do a job. That's all they need, really. Like you say, Scott Carson's the third choice at Manchester City, and he never did them any harm. And that's what Newcastle United need. Loris Karius was probably a little bit overqualified for a number 3,
yes,
if you'd be honest. They've been blessed in some ways. I think some would argue he was qualified enough to be a number 2 at Newcastle United, and probably would be anywhere that he goes from now on in. I'm not sure, is the passion still there to be a number 1 somewhere? I think that's questionable, given the attitude at Newcastle United. You know, came in, did his job, but wasn't always here and wasn't always committed, in my opinion. I think Newcastle had to move on from that situation. They have to move on from Martin Dubravka, who did a job last season and wasn't to blame for the drop-off, but also did little to prevent it, in my opinion, and showed his levels. And I think rolling the dice on the Greek boy isn't a problem for me. I think that's absolutely fine, and it kicks the can down the road. I think they're either going to have to go out and bring in their number 1, and I think the pressure of bringing in Trafford is, it's like, when is he the number 1? So it's already a ticking time bomb underneath the number 1. Whereas at least now Nick Pope knows he's the number 1, and he can play with that confidence. As long as the injuries are all right,
stay fit.
He'll play with that confidence that he's the man, and I think there's a lot to be gained from that. And then next summer you can address it and wait to see if the man you really want comes available.
Yeah. Now we'll move on into pre-season. Pre-season starts very soon.
Is it the 11th? I think the players are back.
And then off to Germany.
Well, we don't know if we are. I asked that question as well. Newcastle United are off to Germany, and they're going to play a friendly, we think. I can't confirm that.
Most likely behind closed doors.
But we do wonder whether it's going to be behind closed doors. And by behind closed doors, that'll mean no journalists as well, I think.
That's all very last minute as well, isn't it? A bit of a last minute.
Yeah.
Last minute.
Well, that's what I mean. They could take the connective tissue out. Do things start going wrong?
We'll be in Tokyo.
You'll be in Tokyo, yeah.
And Hull.
Hull before Tokyo?
Yes.
Which one are you looking forward to most?
Oh, I've been to Hull before, so I'm not.
You've got family ties in Hull as well, so it's
yes,
like,
I do, yeah.
It's like a homecoming for the... I was going to say Sker, but it's not the Sker side, is it?
No, it's my mum's side.
Yeah, it's your mum's side.
Anyway, big news at St James's Park this week.
You've been honestly. He only wanted to do a video this week. It's nothing to do with the transfers. It's this.
Honestly, it's the best news ever. I was speaking to someone at the club yesterday, and I was just forget these 4 transfers, forget this money made, surviving the points deduction. This is the news. It's currently blank at the moment, by the way. The Newcastle United is down. Sports Direct.
Do you know any more about it? Is there going to be a sponsor, or is there going to be? Or can you say?
I don't know for certain.
Right. Okay.
I've heard it's something to do with Adidas, and it will involve maybe new text going up.
That's good.
But need confirmation on that first.
I'm sure somebody will be on a tour or something, and it'll come out on social as it just happens before anything that we get. I would imagine.
Currently blank. Castor logos are down. Adidas logos potentially going up, and you'd imagine, I don't know this for certain, but you'd imagine Newcastle United being replaced. At Sports Direct, lettering is finally in the bin, which is great to see.
Should go and check the bins. Always just chuck around underneath the Millman, don't they? I bet it's in there, that lettering. You could get yourself one.
You'll be outside my house holding up the N, and
I'll put them up.
I'll get nightmares.
Get your next door neighbour to put them up.
Put them in the yard. NUFC. So yeah, that was the good news of the week. Victory for the Geordie Journos.
I think you played a part in that. As Jordan said on Twitter, I think that was you. That was the Skir campaign. You can take a feather in the cap for that.
Well, I got a message from someone from the club saying if this happens, you get full credit. Oh, you get credit for it. So I don't want to pat myself on the back too much, but because it wasn't in the works 2 months ago when I first mentioned it.
I wonder if they're going to get a little photo of it up there.
No, I don't think they can. I think they're like, he'll shut up now, finally.
Right.
Finally.
Well, waffling. Have we spoke about? Have we missed anything? Have we got?
No, it's just moving on now. Hopefully, busy summer to come. Some actual first team improving transfers rather than, well, Lloyd Kelly probably does that. Lewis Hall possibly does that, but he was already at the club. And then
again, no, none of those 4 players are guaranteed starters.
That's the thing. Hopefully, we'll have one to really.
Well, obviously with the injuries they probably are, but in terms of everybody's fit, they're not guaranteed starters, really.
Yeah.
I think they would, but you never know. I think we've waffled enough. We'll try and keep the videos coming. I don't feel like we've ran dry on content, do you? I think everyone's been really interested, engaged in the community, in our Facebook community that we set up as well. Yeah. So do check that out. You'll be able to find the link somewhere on my page, I would imagine. Yeah. Do check out the playlists that we've been putting together as well. There's an Alexander Isak one just gone up there. There's Bruno Guimaraes, Sandro Tonali, and our Champions League journey, which is quite an interesting one, which is all of our videos. Some of them less professional even than these ones in the early days.
A little bit better. We've got a mic.
We have got a mic now, so it's picking up everything, including all these sirens and the building work. But yeah, check out those playlists. And like I say, if you do like your Geordie Journos content, you've hung on this long to watch over 30 odd minutes, click the like, click the share, click the bell if you like all of the content, and also there's a little thanks on there if you do want to make any donations to the channel, which all gets... That's the siren. Come on, donate. No, if you do like what we do and you do donate, we only ever put the money back into the channel. That's all we ever do. Any money made from the Geordie Journos goes back in, whether that be to help us get around, because there's 3 of us, to different games, whether that's to help with getting microphones. We're about to buy a new tripod. We're gonna do that. And
we're like Newcastle is. It's all last minute.
And we need a selfie stick as well.
Yeah, that broke. Yeah. We've lost 2 tripods.
Yeah, so
make sacrifices.
So it's no wonder we do need your donations, because we lose that much stuff. Right. Is that it?
Yes.
Right. Like, comment, share, subscribe for all your Geordie Journos content. And if you don't catch it before next Monday, we'll be on Shots TV channel
276.
Freeview.
Freeview.
Cheers, guys.